Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. The challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is happening today? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12 Ounce Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here. Super Bowl Sunday is right upon us. Welcome to my 142nd show today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are simply locked and loaded. And I cannot wait for later on today's show. And ladies and gentlemen, Cody Jensen of the World Hockey Report joins me live at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. And you're not going to want to go anywhere because he has the best shows on this network. And I'm going to shove it down and I'm going to basically ask him a bunch of NHL questions for all you hockey fans out there. You simply do not want to go anywhere. All right, as I always do on every Thursday, I always leave the NFL games last. I've done it since week 1. I always would have some other segments first on this show, and then I would get in the game predictions last. But because of the way this shaped out to be this weekend, I am leaving it today to have it first when it comes to, and I'm going to make my Super Bowl LV prediction first right here on this show, and I'm going to do my Super Bowl preview at this various moment. So here's how we got here with the Super Bowl LV preview. So ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here at this mark. And my postseason record is 7-5. With Super Bowl LV finally being here, this was actually my preseason prediction before the actual season began between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kansas City is looking to be the first team to go back-to-back since the 2003 and the 2004 New England Patriots. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be hosting the Super Bowl, and this is the first time in NFL history a team gets to play the Super Bowl in their own stadium. And it's amazing. So now, how did each team get here to this various point on this various day? Kansas City Chiefs, number 1 seed in the AFC. 14-2 regular season record. First round bye. Second round, defeated the Cleveland Browns. And in the third round, in the AFC Championship game, defeated the Buffalo Bills. How did the number 5 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers get here? 11-5 regular season record. First round, defeated the Washington football team on the road. Second round, defeated New Orleans Saints on the road after they lost to them twice in the regular season. And third round, defeated the Green Bay Packers on the road against Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. Potential Super Bowl LV candidates: Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and I'm giving you a bold one here, Jason Pierre-Paul. Potential Super Bowl LV, X Factors. The X Factors for Kansas City, in my opinion, is Sammy Watkins, the wide receiver, defensive lineman Chris Jones, and running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Tampa Bay's X Factors: Chris Godwin, wide receiver, Devin White, inside linebacker, and Carlton Davis Jr., cornerback. So now let's get to the matchup itself. So I gave you what I think is going to be how they got here, who I think you could bet on to win the Super Bowl MVP, and who could be some X Factors. And speaking of betting, before I get into the game itself, I don't know how many of you guys, and I spoke about this with my dad and my brother Jake yesterday, but I'm going to say this. Did you see the betting line for, you know how the coaches get dumped with the Gatorade after they win the Super Bowl? What color it is? Yes, seriously. There's a betting line on FanDuel Sportsbook this morning that there's a betting line for it. Orange, red, and pink, yellow, green, blue, purple, clear, white. It's absolutely all preposterous, and I can't believe people actually bet on this stuff. But knowing how crazy I'm saying, oh, people don't bet on this stuff, I would probably do such a shenanigan thing myself. That's just be like, hey, you can put $1 down, see how much money you can win. You automatically win if you put $1 down for each thing. It's just a matter of, it's called smart gambling. That's what you call it. Put $1 down for each. You can't possibly lose, right? And you saw a bet one time when it came to someone put a bet down for 10 cents. Want to know what the winning price was? What they bet on something? The bet they put down was 11 cents. All right, now let me get back to the game itself. Here we go. So the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers met earlier in the season back in Week 12 at the same field at Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Bay, Florida. It appeared as if Tampa Bay did not belong on the same field as Kansas City early on. The score was 27-24, and it shouldn't have even happened to be with when it comes to closest football game, like it shouldn't even been that close of a football game. Tony Romo, CBS, and you got to give him a lot of credit, who is the color commentator with Jim Nantz, and they are the #1 NFL announcing team on CBS, predicted that this would be the Super Bowl LV matchup, and I thought he was absolutely crazy at the time. Well, he was a predictor and a sports prophet into the future, and he was correct. This is as I said, this is the exact Super Bowl I predicted before the season began. And another thing that's going to dictate this football game is, no doubt about it, the line of scrimmage. Well, did you see the Chiefs center who was getting a haircut? He took a profile picture of his half-cut hair because the rest of the team, even Patrick Mahomes, the heart and soul of the Kansas City Chiefs, was even going to get a haircut from him. And the Chiefs smartly had to pull away from it and like, So I don't know if you saw that story, and I was starting to think to myself, did Tom Brady, the heart and soul of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, make a deal with the devil? Did he make a deal with the devil that this thing would happen to the Chiefs before the Super Bowl? Demarcus Robinson, wide receiver, is also on the list. So Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher will most likely not be playing for Kansas City. So, and here's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. And this is why I said Jason Pierre-Paul to be a Super Bowl MVP candidate. Mike Remmers is projected to be starting on the Kansas City offensive line. The last time Mike Remmers played in the Super Bowl was when he was with the Carolina Panthers, and he gave up 3 sacks to Von Miller. Keep an eye on that matchup the entire football game we have on Sunday. I just want you to keep an eye on that for all you film taters and for all you people that love watching film tape. Keep an eye on that matchup. Keep an eye on it. And I'm telling you this. If you do not keep an eye on that matchup, then what are you watching the game for? So, Devin Bush and Levante David will look to make noise up front, along with Ndamukong Suh for Tampa Bay. The Chiefs will need Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and others up front to dominate as well for Kansas City's defense. This is the second time in Steve Spagnuolo's career that he will be dialing up a game plan against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Well, the first one worked well when he was backed with the New York Giants in that 17-14 win against the 18-0 Patriots for the Giants with Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora, and Antonio Pierce. And I read some interesting article about the New York Giants yesterday when it comes to the New England Patriots in that undefeated 18-0 season. And cheers, Miami Dolphins fans. You're still the only undefeated team in the NFL because you can thank us, New York Giants faithful. Big Blue, as they say. And Big Blue. And all swell ends while I was watching all the replays yesterday when it came to that various Super Bowl. Super Bowl 42 in Glendale, Arizona. With the David Tyree catch and them having 5 sacks against Tom Brady. It was basically a piece of artwork. But also, our defensive coordinator Todd Bowles dial up a game plan against Patrick Mahomes. It could also come down to Kansas City's head coach and Andy Reid offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, and Tampa Bay's head coach and Bruce Arians, and offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. As always is, it will all be about execution this football game. The key weapons for the Kansas City Chiefs will be Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman Jr., Byron Pringle, Travis Kelce. The key weapons for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be Tom Brady, Ronald Jones, the second Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, and Cameron Brate. And here's the thing. Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards against Carlton Davis, and over 200 of them were in the first quarter, slinged out by Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce also had over 80 yards receiving. And Mike Evans only had 3 receptions in that game, but he had 50 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. In that losing effort, 27-24. Now, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please. The final score in Super Bowl LV, the Kansas City Chiefs will be back-to-back champions, and they will take down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against them by a final score of 28-23. So that's my Super Bowl LV prediction. The Kansas City Chiefs will take down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a final score of 28-23. Now let me move on to my next segment here, and this is what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of my show. Basically hockey and basically NBA. So, Wednesday night hockey on NBCS, it always seems to be very interesting hockey games I always like to talk about on this show the next day. So the Boston Bruins and the Philadelphia Flyers played each other on Wednesday night hockey. So you know the old joke, teams always blow a 3-1 series lead? Well, the Philadelphia Flyers blew a 3-1 lead last night, lost to the Boston Bruins 4-3 in overtime. So exactly, let me say this about the Boston Bruins before I get into the statistics and who scored what. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be truthful about this. I said before the beginning of the year that the Boston Bruins were going to miss the playoffs. So I thought Brad Marchand was going to be out to start the year. And I thought David Pastrnak was going to miss a chunk of the season. Brad Marchand comes back opening night. He's way ahead of schedule than I thought he was. And David Pastrnak is nowhere to be seen. Without Pastrnak, this team cannot score any goals. And there was a time the Boston Bruins like, they don't have it anymore. Yeah, I know they don't have Pastrnak. They're not as deep. They're not as deep. And they're still not as deep. And I felt like they kind of rushed him back. Like, it's getting late early in this 56-game regular season. We need this guy back in the lineup. What happens? Boston brings him back. The top line of David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, and Patrice Bergeron are clicking. Like they never missed anything. The Boston Bruins will go as far as they take them. And I'm still not buying the fact that Boston is a Stanley Cup Series contender. They are only because of the three names of David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, and Patrice Bergeron. That's why they're good. That's why. And they have a steady structure on defense and goaltending in Tuukka Rask. And I know Rask has had his fair share of criticisms. But you shut down the top line and it's easier said than done. You're most likely going to win most of the time. You're most likely going to win the time. You know who needs to go to the structure? The Edmonton Oilers should go to the structure. Put Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid on the same line. And you're basically going to get dominance. And just have defensive structure on your second, third, and fourth lines. And fix up goalie. That's what the Boston Bruins are doing. I think the Edmonton Oilers need to find that similar structure that the Boston Bruins have. Because talent-wise, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent-Hopkins could be just as very familiar on the top line as Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand. That's what I truly believe. That's what I see from the Boston Bruins. As for the Philadelphia Flyers itself, I like the way they play. I think they're gritty. They play hard for Alain Vigneault. But the problem with that team is, and I said this with, remember Pete, Primetime Pete, who comes on the show, the big Philadelphia Flyers fan? The problem with the Flyers is, what's Claude Giroux done? He hasn't done anything. I think the Philadelphia Flyers need to seriously consider trading off of him and stripping the C away from his chest. It's as simple as that. And you look in Philadelphia, they're going to probably trade Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts will be the quarterback. He'll get the C on his chest, and Carson Wentz will get the C ripped off his chest. But I'm going to say this. The Flyers, I think, are better off with Claude Giroux. I simply think that. I really believe they're simply better off without him. Now let me get to the goals itself. OT goals Boston in overtime. 31 seconds in on the power play. Patrice Bergeron assisted by David Pastrnak and David Krejci. First period goal 12 seconds in. Boston Bruins, David Pastrnak 12 seconds into the game. Hockey game assisted by Charlie McAvoy and Patrice Bergeron in this hockey game. Second period goals. Philadelphia Flyers Kevin Hayes. 15-29 mark assisted by Travis Sanheim and Felipe Myers. And that was right off of Tuukka Rask's glove. Third period goes Philadelphia Flyers. Jakub Voracek 103 mark assisted by Travis Sanheim and James Van Riemsdyk. Philadelphia Flyers Joe Farabee 841 mark assisted by Scott Laughton and James Van Riemsdyk. And I like the way Farabee's playing. Joe Farabee, keep an eye on him moving on in the season. And 2 goals scored by David Pastrnak, the heart of the Boston Bruins team. And let me say this about him. At the 12:05 mark on the power play goal, assisted by Patrice Bergeron, Nick Ritchie, and Boston, David Pastrnak again at the 19:45 mark on power play goal. And that was bad defense all around by the Philadelphia Flyers late in the game. It was assisted by Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron. Gee, what a surprise with the goal he pulled. It was a 6-on-4 there. And then speaking of goalies, Tuukka Rask for Boston makes 22 saves for the Bruins. And Carter Hart of the Philadelphia Flyers with 31 saves. And both goalies actually were not that bad. I just thought some of the defense by both teams, by both the Boston Bruins and the Philadelphia Flyers, was absolutely atrocious yesterday. As I move on from the Boston Bruins and the Philadelphia Flyers game segment, let me go into this next crazy phenomenon. How about EA Sports College Football? Well. For the first time since 2014, EA Sports College Football will be coming back. A lot of people are extremely happy about this. Former University of Michigan quarterback Denard Robinson was on the last cover. A lot of people think that former Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence should be on the cover for 2021. Will this also bring back college basketball, college hockey, or college baseball games as well on this video game console? And I know the World Hockey Report posted, would you buy a college hockey game? Well, I would buy the college basketball one. The last one I remember was one with Greg Gordon at Ohio State back in 2008. And the last college baseball game I remember was back in like 2006 or something, or 2007. With the University of Texas. I remember that playing in a game room lounge against a friend of mine in the old Jewish Community Center, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I absolutely remember those times. Good times, good times. And that was when I was playing in a bitty basketball league. So now I'll get back to my old thing. And I hated losing video games. So a lot of people think that former Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence should be on the cover for 2021, despite former University of Michigan quarterback Denard Robinson in 2014 was on the last cover, and my brother Jacob talks about it all the time, and it's upstairs in my bedroom. As I also said, bring back college basketball, hockey, or baseball with college hockey, college baseball. It may or it may not, but you never know. Some people love to play it as Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama, Justin Fields of Ohio State, and Mac Jones of Alabama, or Daniel Jones of Duke, and the last game goes on and on. This is going to be fantastic college football, and also Joe Burrow of LSU. He also made a remark about the college football game coming back, and he said, all I ever wanted was to be on the cover of this game, as soon as I graduate, they bring it back. Well, someone had an excellent idea for the cover 2021. How about every single Heisman winner since the game was not played? You have those winners like Baker Mayfield of Oklahoma, and you have Derrick Henry of Alabama, and I don't think Deshaun Watson of Clemson was on it, but you had Jalen Hurts of Alabama when he transferred from, he transferred from Alabama to went to Oklahoma. He played well for Oklahoma under not Jalen Hurts, but Spencer Riley. And there's a fun team that someone came up with, and it was Ole Miss, with Dawson Knox, A.J. Brown, and DK Metcalf. That was an interesting team, and Chad Kelly was the quarterback. So now, as I move on from this next segment, but I tweeted out to Joe Burrow, I said to him, don't worry, you could still get on the cover of Madden sometime down the road, and I'm sure he may be. And we'll see. Next up, the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Brooklyn Nets NBA game recap. And I'm going to start going through a little bit of these things very quickly. The Brooklyn Nets took down the Los Angeles Clippers on Tuesday night by a final score of 124-120. It appeared as if Los Angeles was going to blow Brooklyn out of the water, but that wasn't the case. Brooklyn's Big Three always rises to competition, and they are 7-0 this season against the top-tier teams in the NBA. It appears as if they are bored against the other NBA teams. Kyrie Irving went off for the Brooklyn Nets with 39 points. He shot 65.2% from the field. Irving also grabbed 5 rebounds, recorded 2 assists, blocked 2 shots, and recorded 1 steal. Kevin Durant scored 28 points. He also shot 84.6% from the field. Durant also grabbed 9 rebounds and blocked 1 shot. James Harden scored 23 points. He shot 46.7% from the field. Harden also grabbed 11 rebounds, recorded 14 assists, and recorded 1 steal for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I saw a thing the other day on FanDuel Sportsbook. Someone put a triple-double down on James Harden and someone else, and they won a ton of money. Boy, are they making a good, rich living, I guess you could say, off of sports gambling. You know what they say? You don't find a job, you could probably find a get-rich scheme and probably win money gambling. It's probably better than getting a job these days. You don't have to do anything. So now, as for the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard led the Los Angeles Clippers with 33 points. I thought he played very well. He also shot 50% from the field. Leonard also grabbed 5 rebounds recorded, 5 assists, blocked 2 shots recorded, 4 steals for Tyronn Lue's bunch against the Nash's bunch. And Paul George for Lue's bunch scored 26 points. He shot 45.8% from the field. George also grabbed 4 rebounds, recorded 6 assists, and recorded 2 steals. Nicholas Batum scored 21 points. He shot 70% from the field. Batum grabbed 6 rebounds and recorded 1 steal. And I thought the Clippers were going to blow out the Nets from the start. But this game was on TNT on Tuesday night. But the case was, it didn't happen. Moving on to the Boston Celtics vs. Golden State Warriors NBA game recap from Tuesday night on TNT. So the Boston Celtics took down the Golden State Warriors on Tuesday night on TNT by a final score of 111-107. Jason Tatum once again led the way for the Boston Celtics and scored. He scored 27 points. Tatum shot 47.4% from the field. He also got 9 rebounds and recorded 3 assists for Boston. Kemba Walker played well and efficiently for the first time this season. He scored 19 points. Walker shot 33.3% from the field. He also grabbed 7 rebounds and recorded 5 assists. I thought it was his best game of the year. And he was actually held out last night as we call a quote-unquote load management. He's just coming back from a knee injury. Jaylen Brown scored 18 points. He shot 40% from the field. Brown also grabbed 10 rebounds, recorded 4 assists, and blocked 1 shot. The Golden State Warriors were led by Steph Curry in this basketball game. He scored 38 points in losing effort. Curry shot 57.1% from the field. He also grabbed 11 rebounds, scored 8 assists, recorded 3 steals. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about that Golden State Warriors court. I love it, the new Oakland design. It's fantastic. I mean, it's really fantastic. I mean, the Golden State Warriors, they're on the verge of making the playoffs. I just think they're a little bit more of a grittier defensive team. And now you got injuries. They're plaguing them again, but Steph Curry's healthy. You'll get Klay Thompson back probably at some point down the road. We'll see if he's ever the same player ever again. But who knows? Juan Toscano Anderson scored 16 points off the bench. He also shot 66.7% from the field. I'm sure he's going to be a hot commodity tonight for FanDuel and DraftKings Daily Fantasy. And Toscano Anderson also grabbed 2 rebounds, recorded 1 assist, blocked 1 shot, and recorded 1 steal. Andrew Wiggins scored 15 points. He shot 37.5% from the field. Wiggins also grabbed 2 rebounds, recorded 3 assists, and blocked 1 shot. Use promo code 12OunceSports, all caps, with deposit bonus up to $1,000 from MyBookie. We are live on 12 Ounce Sports. This is the first of 3 ads I will be saying today on the same one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Beck, JB Beck for all the things he does, Cody Jensen for all the wonderful things he does, the professionalism he presents day in and day out. And ladies and gentlemen, at 11:45 a.m. Eastern, in just about 15 to 16 minutes from now, he will be calling me live onto the show. And ladies and gentlemen, he's a part of the World Hockey Report, and you do not simply want to go anywhere because Cody Jensen lives up in Canada, and he will give you all the inside and outside information in Canadian hockey, and he knows more about me when it comes to the Canadian hockey side of things than I do. We call them the gurus and all that stuff. And also thanks to Pete and Tyler Valdez and all the other people. King of the Ice, Philly Pete, and then Tyler Valdez, who does such a wonderful job. And Tyler, keep doing you. Moving on to the next thing. Indiana Pacers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. 131-10 went for the Milwaukee Bucks over the Indiana Pacers. Now, this game was played last night, and there was a meme going around. If this doesn't work out for Giannis Antetokounmpo, he could have a photography session in his side career after the NBA is over. It was a whole meme going around. They were up big in the fourth quarter and all this stuff. He was balling. So was Domantas Sabonis. Both 2 of the top tier teams in the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee's more going to be looked as an NBA Finals contender because Giannis Antetokounmpo compared to Domantas Sabonis and the Indiana Pacers. And I'm surprised that the Indiana Pacers are better this season than I thought they were going to be. But the Milwaukee Bucks, you still got to go through teams like the Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics, and the Brooklyn Nets. But don't worry, Milwaukee. Your biggest threat who knocked you out last year is probably not even going to make the playoffs this year. And I don't know how that's even happened with the Miami Heat. So in this 131-10 win for the Milwaukee Bucks over the Indiana Pacers on Wednesday night on ESPN, what did Domantas Sabonis do for Indiana? 33 points, 56% shooting from the field, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. Justin Holiday, 15 points, 62.5% shooting from the field, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, and 2 steals. And he's seeing more play time. Doug McDermott, 13 points, 50% shooting from the field, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist. Remember Doug McDermott in college at Creighton University? They used to call him Dougie McBuckets. They used to say the same thing about Jimmy Fredette, who played at BYU. And he used to drop buckets for BYU. And I remember that, that Sweet 16 game against Florida. I remember that. It was my freshman year in high school. And I remember I was out that night with a couple of people, and then I came back with a couple of friends from like some dodgeball tournament in my high school or something to that regard. I'll probably text about it with my friend later or something. Get some ice cream, some ices afterwards. So it was funny. So now back onto this whole NBA side of things. Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 21 points. 87.5% shooting from the field. 14 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals. He also recorded another triple-double. Bobby Portis, 18 points, 53.8% shooting from the field, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block. And also 3 steals. Dante DiVincenzo had 16 points. 54.5% shooting from the field. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block. So those were the stats from the Indiana Pacers Milwaukee Bucks game. And with the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Indiana Pacers by score of 131-10. And now let me get into my next thing here, which is Colorado versus Minnesota Wild game recap on Tuesday night. And this was not as exciting as the one from Sunday night. They played in Minnesota. That was 4-3 overtime win against Colorado. So, in this one, the Colorado Avalanche took down the Minnesota Wild Tuesday night by a final score 2-1. Colorado's captain Nathan MacKinnon is out week to week with a lower body injury. The lone first period goal was scored by Logan O'Connor for Colorado. It was assisted by Kiefer Sherwood and Cale Makar. The goal was scored at the 17:45 mark. Second period goals, Colorado, Valeri Nichushkin at the 7:09 mark. It was assisted by Jonas Donskoy. And then Minnesota second period, Kirill Kaprizov, very phenomenal rookie for them. He's got a bright future ahead. At the 13:05 mark on the power play. It was assisted by Zach Parise and Gerald Mayhew. So the goaltending was actually pretty good in this hockey game. It wasn't as exciting, as I said, as the one from Sunday night. But Cam Talbot recorded 29 saves for the Minnesota Wild in the 2-1 losing effort compared to the 4-3 win on Sunday night. And then Philip Grubauer finished the game with 27 saves for the Colorado Avalanche in the winning effort here also. So here we go. Here are my NBA top 10 teams at this point in the regular season. But before I say my top 10 teams, use promo code 12OutSports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. we are live on 12 Ounce Sports, and in around little bit less than 10 minutes from now, Cody Jensen of the World Hockey Report will be calling me live onto the show. But let me get into hockey first quickly. The NHL coronavirus outbreak updates. The Buffalo Sabres are having an outbreak. Well, I felt like it started because the Washington Capitals players got it there, and so the New York Rangers, and after they played in Buffalo, the New Jersey Devils also got it as well, and they had to postpone their 2 games against the Pittsburgh Penguins this week. And it'll be made up at a later day. And the Buffalo Sabres versus the New York Islanders game was also postponed on Tuesday evening. Must have to do with something at either the team hotel, the team facility, or the airport in Buffalo, New York area that is happening in. And the Washington Capitals already got it. So did the New York Rangers. And the New Jersey Devils now have it. Thank goodness Pittsburgh Penguins don't have it, but John Moreno is on the list. And Capo Capco of the New York Rangers on the list. And who is on the list for Washington Capitals? Alexander Ovechkin, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and Ilya Samsonov. And then the Dallas Stars recently ended their coronavirus outbreak. And now the Minnesota Wild are now on the list. So now, and now the Minnesota Wild are on the list. Now I could get into my NBA top 10 teams. Number 10, the Indiana Pacers. Number 9, the Phoenix Suns. Number 8, the Denver Nuggets. Number 7, the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 6, the Boston Celtics. Number 5, the Brooklyn Nets. Number 4, the Los Angeles Lakers. Number 3, the Philadelphia 76ers. Number 2, the Utah Jazz. And number 1 is the Los Angeles Clippers. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is who my top 10 NBA teams are. And ladies and gentlemen, I have breaking news on this show. Buffalo Sabres head coach Ralph Krueger has tested positive for the coronavirus and will immediately enter the NHL's COVID protocol. So it appears as if there is nothing going on with the Buffalo Sabres anytime soon. So that's what we have. And my Uncle Frank broke it to me just now. Thank you very much. And this is a very, very interesting thing that has happened. So we will see how that goes and how that's going to affect the Buffalo Sabres moving forward. So now, let me get into my NHL top 10 teams. Number 10, the Vancouver Canucks. I like the way they're playing a little bit, but they just got steamrolled by the Montreal Canadiens. Number 9, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They just playing a very tough Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals, Philadelphia Flyers division in the East. Nothing to be ashamed of. Led by Sidney Crosby. Number 8, the Colorado Avalanche. They're pummeled with injuries. Nathan McKinnon out with a lower body injury week to week, but they're still talented with Mikko Rantanen and other players. Number 7, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Even with Nikita Kucherov out, Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Andrei Vasilevsky, and Anthony Cirelli leads the way. And so does Ryan McDonough and other defensive players. Number 6, the St. Louis Blues. Jordan Binnington, the goalie, as long as you're goalie. And yeah, Craig Berube behind the bench, you're good. Number 5, Boston Bruins. Maybe they should be higher with that David Pastrnak, Brad Marsh, and Patrice Bergeron line. Number 4, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are just a very improved and physical team with Wayne Simmons, Joe Thornton as veterans. You also got Austin Matthews, Zach Hyman, Mitchell Marner, John Tavares, William Nylander, and Frederick Anderson, an okay goalie. Number 3, the Washington Capitals. Alexander Ovechkin leads the way. John Carlson, Evgeny Kuznetsov, TJ Oshie, Tom Wilson too. Number 2, the Philadelphia Flyers. I should probably have moved them back. but I still like the way they play. I question Claude Giroux's leadership. And last but not least, the number one team on my power ranking, the Montreal Canadiens. Look at the way they're playing. We're led by Claude Julien. This might be his best team he's ever coached since the 2013-2014 Boston Bruins President's Trophy winners. And might be his best team since the 2010-2011 team that won the Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins against the Vancouver Canucks in 7 games. And the team they lost to in 2014 happened to be Montreal in 7 games. Now he's got Carey Price, Josh Anderson, Tyler Toffoli. And I'm going to ask Cody in a couple of minutes, why did they let Tyler Toffoli go potentially? So, just in a couple of minutes, special guest, Cody Jensen. This will be my 4th guest I will be having on my show for the past 2 weeks. Before he calls me, Cody Jensen hosts the show called The World Hockey Report on 12ouncesports.com. A couple of times a week with Adam Ermantrot. They put out great content each and every show, and they also have top-notch guests. They host guys from TSN and other Canadian sports network. They just recently had Ray Ferraro on their show yesterday. And he's also on the NHL video game. One of my friends, his name is David Roebuck. I remember in high school, another friend of mine, John Strish, they called it Chell. And they also once had Gordy Miller on the show one time. He has also called some NHL games on NBCSN, also calls games on TSN, also did some games for the World Juniors. And their top-notch guest just inspires me. And I didn't know who any of these guys were that they had, like some of these TSN guys. And then now I see their faces on Twitter like, oh, they get these guys on. I'm like, this is great for the network. They do a wonderful job. This is great. And the content they put out is just remarkable. I mean, let me just say this. The amount of views they have on their show, in order for us as a network to catch up to them, we have to combine all my show and everybody else's show has to be combined. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say that. I'm not joking when I actually mention something like that. So, I mean, I'm just excited for this opportunity. Now let me just I will turn up the volume on my thing, and then I just wait here patiently for the next minute or so, and I'm just, the first 3 guests were absolutely successful. I mean, it just inspires me when I get guests. He tells me, get guests on the show, get guests on the show. Well, he's going to be coming on my show. It's just absolutely wonderful and fantastic in so many retrospects. I mean, it just makes the show better. And for all you guys, I don't know. I know JB Beck has his shows on Fridays and people call in the show. I've done it a couple of times. I tried calling in the show last week. But let me just say this. All you guys would just be calling me on the show like every 5 seconds, every 5 seconds, every 5 seconds, every 5 seconds. So that's how I feel about a lot of these things. That's how I truly, really feel about that way. And here is Cody Jensen right now. Good morning, Cody. Welcome to my show today. Hello? Cody? Could you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I could hear you. I'm having trouble with your cell connection for some reason.
Okay, it should be good. I got full connection here.
Okay, you got full connection now?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. I could hear you now. So my first question is, and I said this, why did the Vancouver Canucks let go of Tyler Toffoli?
Well, I think it was just kind of came down to Benning slept on it a little bit too much. Maybe they locked their phones in their cabins on July 1st or free agency day. And I mean, you kind of snooze, you lose. Montreal made him a good offer. ends up going to a team where he plays a pretty big role, and he's kind of just, on a screw you tour coming back. I think he's got 8 of his 9 goals or something wild against Vancouver. That's pretty impressive if you ask me. It's, maybe they just didn't want to lock up that money with him. But again, if you watch that Canucks team nowadays, they're really missing a goal scorer like Tyler.
Well, in my power rankings, I just put Montreal at number 1, and you watch Canadian hockey more than I do. Do you agree with me?
No, I would have put them at number 1. I think that they're obviously a good team for sure, but I don't know if they'd beat the Leafs in a 7-game series. I don't know if they'd beat the Oilers in a 7-game series. They're a good team. They've got a great back end, but they're still missing a few key pieces. They still haven't done it against every single team. I haven't seen enough of them to firmly place them at number 1, especially atop the entire NHL.
Well, I said this, and the Boston Bruins, I feel like, is David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, and Patrice Bergeron too dependent? And I said they're going to go as far as their first line takes them. What I said on my show this morning is, you know what team could learn a lot about that in Canada? I think the Edmonton Oilers. If you could get a better goalie and just a defensive structure system, you could put Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on the same line and win a bunch of games. Do you agree with that statement, or do you think I'm taking it too far?
I think it's a little too far. I think that the Oilers' depth has always hurt them, where when they've played McDavid and Draisaitl together, of course they do good. But if a team just has to match up their best defenseman against one line and doesn't have to worry about any of the other 3 scoring, that's when problems start to happen. So now that the Oilers kind of have 2 lines running, they're a lot more effective when teams have to think twice about who they're going to match up against McDavid and Nugent-Hopkins and who they're going to match up against Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and Cahoon. That's just, how the NHL depth works. And I get it, they're top heavy, and we had Ray Ferraro on the show yesterday on World Hockey Report, and he said, hey, every team's top heavy if you think about it. Why? Because you got to spend money on the 2 best players in the damn league. I mean, that's just how it works. So for the Oilers, their depth definitely plays a part. But again, you got to look at it from an outside perspective too, where Ken Holland kind of took over a mess from Pete Chiarelli. He's going to have $15-20 million coming off the books next year, and now he's going to have a little bit of room to work with that team. They got like 9 forwards making like $1 million or less. So essentially, if you're able to revamp how that roster looks and kind of give you a little bit more depth, then the Oilers can be serious contenders. But until then, I'm still a little skeptical on their goaltending, but their forwards definitely aren't the issue.
Now, you said $15 million are coming off. So is there a winger that comes to mind that could sign with Edmonton? Because I know the top candidate, the top free agent on the market next year is probably going to be Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals. Now, I'm hearing things. One Washington Capitals fan was texting me yesterday, said he thinks Alexander Ovechkin is going to finish his career with the Washington Capitals. Now, I made a statement when my Uncle Frank, who's a big New York Islanders fan, thinks that Alex Ovechkin wants to go back and play with Barry Trotz with the New York Islanders, especially with Belmont, the new UBS Arena coming next year. Do you think it's a possibility that Alex Ovechkin would leave the Washington Capitals to go play with the Connor McDavid if they have that cap, or go reunite with Barry Trotz on the New York Islanders?
I don't think so. I don't think the Isles don't have the cap space to give him a spot. And for Ovi, he's won his cup. They'll probably just try to sign one more big ticket before going back to Russia. That would be my assumption. I don't know. I would kind of assume. I think he grew up playing in the Dynamo system in the Russian Super League, so I could see him maybe going back and playing a year or 2 over there. Depends on how their financials look. You never know. I mean, is he sitting happy in Washington? Is he good? Obviously, I mean, he's easily made 100 sheets in his life. He's doing fine like that. But if Russia's to throw $10 million at him a year or something, or 7-8 tax free, he's probably gonna go play a couple more years over there just for the publicity stunt, make a bunch of money. Maybe that's his opportunity to play for another Olympics in 2022 with Russia, where they could stack him up with a guy like Kovalchuk, Datsuk. Maybe stack up a team like SKA again, like they did in 2018. I don't know. I really just don't see him jumping ship in the NHL though. To keep it simple.
Now, speaking of Russia, the Pittsburgh Penguins, I know, I'm a huge fan of Pittsburgh Penguins. Something's wrong with Evgeny Malkin, and he has one more year left on his contract after next year. He said he wants to win a fourth Stanley Cup because no Russian players have won 4 Stanley Cups before. And my question to you is about Malkin. Does he really want to be with the Pittsburgh Penguins, or does he just want to go back home to Russia?
I don't even know if he wants to be in the NHL anymore. I get it. He does kind of look a little, I don't want to say unmotivated, injured, whatever it is. He just looks like he's lost it. He just kind of looks like the love of the game's not there. And I could be fully wrong. He could be seriously hurt, and I'm just totally blowing this guy over right now. But yeah, there's something up there. I don't think that he wants to go to another team. I would say his career is definitely probably closer to over, and he's not having fun right now. They're not that great of a team. They're struggling defensively. Their goaltending's not good enough to go and win a cup. He knows that. He knows they're not serious contenders anymore. So yeah, I'm sure he's a little bit pissed off that things aren't going his way, and that's just how Russians tend to act when things aren't going A+.
So there was some dispute. And I said this on my show on Monday, where there's a report out of Pittsburgh from Colin Dunlap, very reliable source, blue check mark. And he said the reason why Jim Rutherford stepped down was because he wanted to trade Chris Letang, defenseman, and management, Mary Lemieux, Ron Burkle said, no, you simply cannot do that. And fans speculated that was either Chris Letang, Evgeny Malkin, or trading one of your 2 top prospects, Nathan Legare or Samuel Poulin. Since management told him you can't trade Chris Letang, do you believe that's why Rutherford quit? Because if it wasn't for his health.
Oh, that's a tough one. But in speaking with our sources as well, and even I think Elliot Friedman confirmed it too, is that he was looking to make a couple more big moves. And I feel ownership or someone kind of stepped on it and said, hey, you've done too much already. This is either the team you ride with, or you're gone. And I think his choice was kind of well, they don't trust me to make any more moves. What am I doing here? I mean, this is a guy who has a lot of pride, but he's also made some very questionable moves. And, maybe his best bet's hey, I got to step away from this team before I do any more damage and hurt my reputation. And, maybe he hopes it leads to another job down the road. I'm not exactly sure. But I think number one, although everyone just kind of confirmed, hey, it's not a big health issue or anything. You hope that's all in check for Rutherford. That's number one. I mean, from a humane side of things, but I do think it was he wanted to move a couple of big pieces and really blow up that team. And I think Chris Letang was a start, and I guarantee you, if the Pens wanted him to be the one in charge for a full rebuild, he would still be there today. I don't think they had that faith in him.
Well, do you have any updates on the Pittsburgh Penguins general manager search?
Yeah, I was talking with a couple of people today, and actually Ron Hextall is going to be one interviewing. So that would be interesting. I mean, whenever I think of Ron Hextall, I think of him in a Philly jersey, so that could be interesting. I've heard a couple other names tossed around. Stillo, I can't remember whoever the assistant GM is there. Pierre
Patrick
McGuire,
Alvin.
Kevin Weeks. Multiple names in media have been getting thrown around there. I don't know. I still think that there's a couple of wild cards that really aren't getting the fair shake. I think someone like Sean Burke would be perfect for that position. He's got enough experience. He's managed at the international level. He's been a pro scout for the Canadians now. I mean, he's been involved with the Yotes. So, and I think it really kind of comes down to where Mario wants to spend the money in Pittsburgh, honestly. I don't know if they want to go after a high-profile GM like a Chiarelli, who's got the experience, although he's made some stupid moves. He's been an NHL GM for longer than most. Or do they want to give someone a shot who's going to be a cheaper option and say, hey, here you go, you're in charge with rebuilding the Pittsburgh Penguins, who were a dynasty for the past decade plus.
Well, it's funny you say the Peter Chiarelli thing, because there's a friend of mine in high school, big Boston Bruins fan. He tells me every single day, Peter Chiarelli's whatever for trading away Tyler Seguin. because you know how good of a hockey player he is on the Dallas Stars. And my last question to you is, do you know of any hot commodity players that might be left unprotected in the Seattle Kraken expansion draft?
I don't know. That still seems like so far away, doesn't it? Right? Like, I would have to assume, sticking with the area up here, I'd say a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins might not get protected. In Calgary, you gotta think, like, do they leave one of their big guns open? I don't know. It's tough. I mean, when you think about that far ahead, how are teams going to view this when you see a lot of these Stanley Cup teams winning with defense? Like, it costs more to protect a defenseman. I don't know the exact formula, but I know if you want to protect 4 D-men, it's like you got to protect 2 less forwards. So our team's going to start to value that. Our teams like Florida going to, probably expose Bobrovsky to it. You'd have to assume, Vegas is likely going to leave a goaltender open. They're going to have a lot to choose from. Same with a team like Vancouver. Are they going to stick with Holtby, who's an NHL guy, or are they going to go with Demko, who could be the future of the team? There's definitely a lot at stake for these teams, and like everyone saw with Vegas, that expansion draft is a wild card. I mean, you can build a heck of a hockey team off of other teams' scraps.
All right, thank you for joining the show today, Cody. I truly appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Glenn. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, that was absolutely and relatively fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time here. And thanks for coming on the show, Cody Jansen. I truly appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoyed the rest of your weekend as well. Not only from me, but from Cody Jansen, the rest of the 12-Out Sports team, along with JB Beck and Pete and others, and Tyler Valdez. And I will be back on Monday to discuss the Super Bowl LV game recap and other NBA, NHL game recap segments. And also, I might have another guest. Use promo code 12-Ounce Sports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie.